Hello and welcome back to part 2 of our film and game composers review. I'm Meena Shamaly and we are looking at Tone2's Electra 2 synthesizer. So in the first part of the first video, we had a look at the synth itself, its architecture and the features that it offers, and creating your own sound with it. Can we do that entirely without relying on a preset? Yes, we can. And this offers a plethora of things to do. We're testing the claim as to whether this is the most powerful synthesizer on the market. And in that first video, I concluded that yes, to an extent, it's very powerful. It can do a lot of things, and some things that aren't offered by other synthesizers. But then there are other synthesizers that do things that this cannot do. So it's a tough claim to measure, but is it a powerful synthesizer with a multitude of things that can be done? Absolutely. Is it a bargain at 235 Australian dollars or whatever that equates to in your currency? I think it is. Now, we're having a look at the presets. So if you haven't seen the first video, go ahead and see it, and you'll see all the functions of the synthesizer and how you can create your own stuff with it. So today we're looking in this part. We're looking at the presets that are offered, and I don't think the presets are necessarily very representative of the power of the synth. Yes, you need to use the synth to come up with these presets, but I just don't think they're representative, and you'll see why. So we'll start off. We'll have a look here. Here we got on the left, we got type, so categories. We got the patch list in each category, and information about each patch. How you make it. So for example, you got multi-layer, you got this one's polyphonic. This is just the welcome patch.
Welcome to Tone2 Electra.
The keyboard doesn't light up when you play, it's just so you can actually play it there.
Welcome to
or the modulations here. And the pitch is right here. So there you go. But that's why you'll see on the MIDI monitor whenever I'm doing something, whether I'm playing a key or if I'm moving a controller, you'll see it move. So this is just for you guys to know that I'm actually doing stuff. So there's a whole bunch of categories. They're arranged alphabetically. So I won't go alphabetical. I'll just go to what I think makes sense, and we'll go from there. So let's start, for example, with leads. So as you can see here, for example, this is legato and it glides. The glide's probably small. It responds to the pitch wheel. Responds to velocity. Responds to the mod wheel. And responds to aftertouch. So I've got aftertouch on this keyboard. It's got effects, it's got some micro tuning happening and psychoacoustic volume leveling, and then it tells you this is the type of synthesizer synthesis that's being used. So these are all very helpful information. So there you go. Just a different random synth. And if you open up, say for example, just open up something else. I'll open up the actual thing, so you'll see that in here it's engaged synth 1, 2, 3, and 4. No, only synth 1, sorry. So this is the only one that's on. And you see that in the modulation matrix, it responds to velocity, has mod wheel, the LFO controls something. Controls some aspect of it. The modulation wheel applies something else, applies LFO speed, and then you got step LFO, And you got a whole bunch of things. So there's a whole bunch of things happening. So sometimes if you want to really get to crunch on the synthesizer, you can reverse engineer a preset. It's like, I really like that preset. How can I do that? So you can reverse engineer it. And you can see all the stuff that's happening here. And your filters are off here. Or bypassed anyway, so that's not an issue. So there you go. So that's something we can look at. So I'll be looking at some of these, what's making up some of these presets. Sorry for the cheesy kind of playing, but again, so here it's only applying one oscillator. It's got a whole bunch of, got maybe like 4 things to modulate with the mod wheel. So you can modulate the same, a whole bunch of different parameters with the same source. So the mod wheel here controls the oscillator volumes and the octaves and everything. So yeah, some pretty cool stuff there. So, and being a synth, you get all these very synthy leads. And if you don't like something, you can always change it. So maybe I don't like this so attacky, so I could put the sustain up. Lower the emphasis on the attack a little bit. We got the decay down. So there's a whole bunch of things you can do there, right? So never be limited by a preset, because you have a whole bunch of power to do that. And this is important in some of the other layers as well, and I'll tell you why. I always find it weird when the mod wheel is inverted, where pushing it up closes the filter. It makes more sense to me for the mod wheel to go up and for me to open the filter that way. Is there a way to invert it? Yes, there is actually. If I put it up this way. I'm not quite sure how to inverse it from there. But I know you can invert it in your MIDI effects anyway, so that's not a big deal. So yeah, that's just that. So you can see there's already a variety of sources just in one category. And there's a variety, an infinite amount of ways you can edit that sound as you want. So that's leads, for example. We got pads. I'm just going through the more synthy ones first. See, this makes more sense. The mod wheel up opens up the filter. So if we're looking here, interesting. So it's a pretty nice sound. It's all synthesized. Now here, for example, something like this, spoken words. If I turn off this synth 2 layer, is a bunch of spoken samples. So they've done a whole bunch of different things with those samples, and that therein lies one of the most powerful things with this synthesizer, is that you can do this kind of stuff, which I haven't done with a lot of other synthesizers. I mean, other synthesizers might offer it, but I haven't actually done that myself. Something like Massive probably wouldn't offer this. Absinthe does, but I haven't really used it that much. So some really, really cool stuff in there, and as we say, you can always make your own, so. Now, sometimes I feel some of this is a bit old school, but then again, a synth pad is always going to sound like a synth pad, which was a very old school thing to do. So if you choose to use a synth pad, it's up to you how you use it. If you use any of these synth presets, synth sounds just sound like synth sounds half the time. But can you do other stuff? Yes, you can. Like the spoken words thing, where you've put in these whispers as samples. That's brilliant. End of time. So if you have a look at what elements are there, you got 2 synth elements. So one is your pad element, that's synth 2, and one is your bell element. You could always add more. So operatic. So there you go. You got modern synth. So that's some stuff that's chorded already. And I would say we turn off each of these. So that's one layer. There's already a chord in there. How do we reverse engineer this? You got the intervals. There you've made a chord thing with, you got one note or fifths. You got a fifth here. And you got another chord again with the interval relationships. So here's a minor for example. So change that to a minor. fine tune it here. So if I redo the fine tuning. So there you go. So you can automatically include some stuff. So modern synth obviously means chords. What else we got? So there's some really cool stuff in there. And again, these chords are probably, yep. What else you got? Something like this sounds like. So you can break it down to its layers. And see how they sync together? So that makes them kind of relate to each other, these two layers. So again, really, if you want to make the most out of these presets, I would say, rather than just use them as they are, go back and reverse engineer them and see what interesting things are being done by the sound designers. There we go, swells. And as I said, sometimes my issue with these is that they sound a little old school, but it is up to you to make them fresh, you know? Hyper trance. I mean, trance is trance, so like. I mean, if you wanted to do like I don't know, about like 8, 9 years ago, you had. Something like that. If I wanted, maybe actually could do that as part of the arpeggiator. So it could do maybe that chord gate. There we go. That's your loop point. So maybe H. Do this. I'll make that a rest and make that a loop point. So this is loop. Now make that an actual rest. Make this a loop point. That a rest. There we go. Make that at like 2 BPM. So there you go. If I put this up a little bit more, tempo. So there you go. There's your trance done. What else we got? So these feel like, you know, presets you'll hear in any synthesizer. It's up to you to, like, the presets offerings themselves aren't groundbreaking, is all I'm gonna say. You know? They're fun, but they're not groundbreaking. What I can suggest is if Matt Bowdler, who's one of our reviewers on Film and Game Composers, who's also a sound set developer under the name of The Unfinished, he develops some great sound sets for like Massive, for Zebra, for Omnisphere, that kind of thing. If he developed sound sets for this synth and these sound sets would be picked up by composers like that. That's all I'm saying. So this is pretty cool. And again, you come back and check out the what's driving the filter. Here it's Aftertouch in the Matrix. The Matrix. Welcome to the Matrix. You can just turn the filter up. See how it's driven as well. So there you go. You can change the speed as well. Let's say the LFO is... Yep, the LFO is driving the cutoff. This is something I didn't realize. Oh, there we go. Song BPM versus trigger. There we go. Over here, the LFO can be triggered with the BPM as well. Which works really well for dubstep. Well, traditional dubstep. Well, traditional. Dubstep isn't traditional. But I'm talking about, like, I don't know, when dubstep like really kind of blew up. It was like the parody was like that kind of thing, you know? So there you go. If we move on to vintage synth, we got some fun sounds. Sorry about that. So yeah, so there's some throwbacks. Now this is what is really meant to be old school. Of course, you don't like the massive amount of reverb, you can put it down. So there's already something you can do. So see, for example, something like this, I like the sound quality of it, but I don't necessarily like what it does in terms of the ADSR. So maybe I want it to be more like a pad. Oh, there's a bit of a... The filter's being cut off by an LFO. If I turn that off, there's a filter envelope. If I put the filter envelope, there we go. So this, put the release down. Put in some reverb. So even something like this with all this reverb, maybe just make it a cathedral. Something like play it low. Maybe put the... layer that with some brass, and then you can you really got something. So that's some pretty cool stuff with the vintage synth. All right, a bit more to get through. Got keys. Got piano, so I'll use the same pedal for this. Something like this. What is being engaged? So synth 1, what is it? Just a bunch of wavetables. Synth 2. So obviously you apply the volume envelope and filters and all that stuff to achieve these different sounds. And here we have a bit of white noise being featured. Bit of noise and a few waves as well. And then synth 4, we've resynthesized a waveform. So you combine all of that. So while you may like or you may not like, you may or may not like the preset, but doesn't mean you cannot change the preset. Something like this, flex suitcase. So that's pretty cool, maybe a little too distorted. To get rid of the amp simp. Maybe mix it a little bit. So there you go. What else you got? Dance piano. So yeah, so you got that very typical 90s kind of thing. If we put in some delay. Stuff like that. So I got something like this. What else? What are we engaging? So there's a piano sound. And these are actual piano samples, so... And they've got it happening. It follows the keys in a certain part. And then what else we got? So we've used some real piano samples for this. So there you go. Now obviously it's not a dedicated sampler, but it can employ more than one sample, and maybe like here we've actually employed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 samples to create this piano sound. Fake as it may be, that is not the point, because we're not into deep sampling. We're just using a synthesizer's engine to work with some of these samples. Now, the truly awesome thing would be if you could get a whole multi-sample instrument and run it through a synthesizer engine, which is to an extent what Omnisphere has done, but they have their own library, so you can't import your own multi-sampled instruments. If you could do that, you could get a whole multi-sampled instrument running through this. there is no stopping you. So there you go. So here again, what do we got? These are all this is just synthesized waves, and then you got a pad on one side, pad on the other, and there you go. There's your piano and strings. So these would be cool to actually layer with real instruments. Hip hop roads. So again, this is maybe a little old school. That's fine, you know. I'm attracted to things that have piano in them. Can I have my 80s Grammy Award now? So there you go. This is grand piano. If this is sampled, oh, this is sampled. There you go. So they've sampled. So they've maybe used here 9 different samples. So, again, it's not incredibly detailed or anything, but the fact is you can put more samples in here than I could ever do in any other place. Phaser keys, in any other synthesizer. So once you get an understanding of the multitude of things you can do per oscillator and per layer, things begin to get really interesting, and I'll tell you why in a minute. All right, so that's enough keyboards. We got organs quickly. Hammond. So pretty. How are they getting these organ sounds? Are they? So we got resynthesis. We got just resynthesis of some waveforms. There you go. Percy. Leslie. Got church. Distorted church. Huh, interesting. Let's say you got LFOs probably. Is it LFOs? No. Oh, you got the rotary there. If you came back from watching Interstellar, there's a lot of organs in there. So, how's it go? So it's like that. It's a big scene. Anyway, this is not the right organ for it, but hey, drawbars. Old Gregorian organ. Oh yeah, there you go. I'm really not doing this organ any justice. We got jazz organ. Okay, I don't even know what a jazz organ would be. There you go. So there you go. So I got some organ sounds. Semi-real. This is the other thing I forgot to mention. This includes physical modeling of physical modeling of strings and flutes and winds. So yeah, so it's sort of like a filter that's applied to the whole thing in a way. This, for example, is a chord. They've done that with the arpeggiator, so. See if I get rid of the physical string here. Physical string. It just becomes that sound. But the string is, I can almost describe it as an overlay. Cinematic strings. How's this cinematic? Nylon attempt. So I got pan flute, for example. This will probably use the physical modeling. Oh, not really, actually. Physical, there we go. So there you go, the polyphonic, if I made it legato. So there's some more physical modeling of strings. Over here, there's a section that says it's physical modeling is being used. Banjo. There's always a sound for physically modeled strings that it's that sound. So again, physically modeled flutes, which changes according to the string, to the note. Physical model strings. Orchestra hits. I'd say, yep, that's definitely samples. There's definitely samples being used there. Again, that's a pretty old school thing to do. So, you know. Oh, Romance acoustic, there you go. This is what I was trying to play before. So again, these are samples over here, guitar samples. Senorita. If this is what I think it is, if it's just to emulate the Justin Timberlake songs, like. Interesting. Not quite sure what it's. The chord kind of doesn't sound like the separate notes. Something like that. I don't know. Electric guitars. See, it's not trying to say, hey, I can do electric guitars, but it's more like, here's something. And you'd never expect that from a synthesizer. You could layer that with like real guitars as the keyboard part of the band, you know? Piccolo. So you got some physical modeling on the flute? No, you don't. That's more... that's the waveform. So that's pretty interesting. Is that even though it has physical modeling of things, it's still... Like, this is definitely physical modeling. No, it's not. Oh, wow. It's comb filtering, actually. Okay, so I'm wrong. I will admit I'm wrong. I don't know everything, if you can believe it. So that's some pretty interesting stuff, right? Ancient India. This has to be samples. There you go. That's definitely samples. It's like the GTA 4 soundtrack. It's something like that. I don't know. But yeah, so there you go. So there's some really interesting stuff there. Transgate, that'll... Stuff that's using the transgates in the insert effects. Definitely. Or sometimes uses the arpeggiator. There you go. It's a whole different bunch of sounds. So again, there's like, if you don't like it, where's this? Where's the... Something is doing it. Step LFO, there you go. If I turn this off. So the step LFO sometimes does the transgating. So you can do this stuff in a lot of ways and then do whatever you want with it, right? So there you go. We got vocal. Monkeying around. Is that samples? Yes, that's definitely samples. There you go. These are...
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Yeah. So again, they've loaded a sample of someone singing.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
This is like multi-sampled burps, man. This is effort. They've sampled more samples of burps than they have of pianos. That's all I'm saying. That's the power right there. That's why they believe this is the most powerful synthesizer in the world. There you go. Cathedral voices. Choir. Do we have samples? Yes, we have samples. There you go. Again, no one's trying to say these are detailed or anything.
Let's party tonight. Let's party tonight. Let's party tonight. Let's party tonight. Let's party tonight.
There you go. So get rid of the delay.
Let's party tonight. Let's party tonight. Let's party tonight.
That's just the sample itself.
Party tonight. Party tonight. Party tonight. Night. Party. Let's party tonight.
What do we got there? We got the start is affected by velocity. So if I turn that off, again.
Let's party tonight.
So see, you can bring it back to its elements and then go from there.
Let's party tonight.
Maybe I'll apply a vocoder here.
Let's party tonight. Let's party tonight. Let's party tonight.
I'm not even going to try to do this right now with the vocoders, but whatever. There is a vocoder section, but Gregor Choir. So there's a plethora of things to be able to use. I must say I was a little skeptical at first of the presets, but as I've been going through them, I've been able to be like, you know what, this is actually not... The presets are still a pretty damn good indicator. So I got vocoder. And these are all based on the samples. So I can use different any of my own samples and do that. All right. So what else we got? We've covered these. We got keys. Got sound effects. THX. Again, all of these are being controlled by different modulations. In a similar vein, we've got atmospheres. So see, now starting to get into all these different weird things, but you know, because the synth has the power to do this, what it can do. So you know you can create all of this yourself if you want to. So if this is all, and the synth is easy enough to read that you can see what's actually happening. Like here, for example, the LFO is controlling the pulse width. That's why this is moving. If this is 0, then it shouldn't. Well, it's barely moving right there. Go shift. There we go. If you press shift with it, it will go incrementally down. See what I mean? So yeah. It says atmospheres. Got brass. CS80, 8000. So sorry, CS80 just spells out Vangelis. So no one's pretending this is an alternative to like Cinebrass or Hollywood Brass or any of that. But it's like brassy in the 80 cents. So it's still synth, you know, and you still. And it's still very shapeable. You can do whatever you want with it. Now, these are pretty interesting. Chips. So it's like chip tunes. So now, this is kind of where it gets tricky with some people, because I've almost created a whole chiptune queue right there just by playing. The preset has already done it for me. Because if I press one key, if I press two keys, it starts arpeggiating. Press three keys. Now, if we break it down, first synth layer, and then the second wasn't being used. The third, and see, this is just arpeggiated, right? And the fourth one is basically some drums. And it's fixed, so it doesn't get affected by what key you press. So it's always the same pitch. So see, I can already... So if I just want this, and I can break it down. So if I put it in each one into a different channel, channel 2, and I've got the channel set up here, channel 3, and channel 4, can use them as separate things. So, not an issue. Do not think of these presets as, oh, it's already pre-composed. Yes, it's pre-composed to an extent, but you can change everything about it, so it's not an issue. Well, this is pretty interesting. Also, it does follow the key to an extent, but only if it's C major. See, I didn't actually know this before that. But then I can't really choose the chords that I want to, so... And now if I set its key... So if I set its key, I can choose it whatever I want. So, what else we got? Again, same thing, break it down to its elements. And you can change everything about it. No worries. There's your bass. There's your drums. Can all be created. But I cannot deny that these presets are pretty damn cool. These are probably some of my favorites in the whole thing. So there you go. Yes, I like these. These are really well done. Whoever did these, kudos. Kudos. These excite me. It's a pity there's only a few of them. Droid Wobble, there's your dubstep presets. And see, aftertouch as well. So these can all be engaged, and no one's holding you to them. As we saw, you can change all of this. This is an LFO. An LFO being used. If you can never tell where it's going from, just start fiddling around with the controls, with the knobs, and see what starts playing. See right there. You can, and if I multiply that by 3. There's a lot that can be done there. A lot can be done. And then there you go. Now we got some drums as well. And as we saw before, these are split up. You can split up where you wanna. So see here, we got octave 0 to 4 is this. Then octave 5 is this. Octave 6 is this. The rest of the octaves is this. So there you can have a whole drum machine at your fingertips. You know, that's pretty cool. Old school hip hop style. And again, these are different samples, definitely samples. You got samples here, samples here. There we go, you got samples. Got some samples. There we go. We got some samples, some beatboxing samples. Mixed in with some noise. Something like that. There you go. So you can set up a whole drum kit this way. Timpanis. Samples? Not samples, no. So fake timpani. No one's trying to say it isn't. There's a kick. Trance 90s, there you go. Just playing it, they're pretty spaced apart. Orchestral slam. So some pretty cool stuff. Again, some of it's still old school, but old school is really a state of mind. There you go, that's our quote of the day. Drumline. So these are entire rhythms that are done. So here, for example, you got, I can change that and do whatever you want with it. The second one is your snares. So say you wanted to put a snare in here as well. And what's the third one? That's another snare as well. So and then you can change up the loop in the fourth because that's all arpeggiated. Maybe just start silencing some of these. And then automatically we've just changed the preset to something we want. So there you go. So that's the same principle for all of these. There's some pretty cool loops over there. That's cool. So don't keep in mind these loops are very editable, which is a truly powerful thing. You can turn it off, turn it on. If it's on the arpeggiator, you can edit everything you want about that. So, the reason I'm saying this now is because in some of these, you'll get a whole bunch of like entire sequences. Same thing you got with the chips. I'll just go with bass for the moment. So you got some bass. So some pretty awesome bass in there. And think this is all from the same architecture that gave you the piano, that gave you the pads, that gave you the chip sounds. And that's where the power of the synth lies. This is some modern hits kind of do this. There you go. And here you got bass sequences. Again, it's the arpeggiator, it's your filters, it's your LFOs. Edits all of that to your heart's content. And sometimes you don't need to. Sometimes that's what you want. So there you go. See over here, it's editing the actual intervals. If I go dun 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 dun. So again, you're never locked into a sequence unless it's a sample. Never locked into a sequence, and that's the powerful. You got arpeggiated single layers. Let me just reset this MIDI monitor. So here we got some.
Let me see you move. 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 Let me see you move.
So a whole bunch of things. Never locked in. You can always edit every bit of this. And I'm really hammering this point home because lest someone think, oh, well, I'm not really composing, am I? Yes, you can, because these are offered as great starting points. If you use it as it is, that's your being lazy, you know? Or maybe that's exactly what it needs at the time. I don't know. That's really up to you and your project. See over here, it can edit everything. And a little old school. So this is none of this is ever an issue. If it sounds old school, but you kind of like what it's doing, find out what about it is old school. Let me drive it. You know, this is all you can do. And you got some multi-layer here. See, depending on how you play, you can do the entire track this way. Or have an entire backing this way. So that's... there you go. Ew, here you're dividing by 3. I divided by 4. Oh, that's not doing it. That's a glide. Sorry, I didn't actually realize that. If we glide up to 3. Glide up to 12. So if... So, if you choose to just write your track this way, dun, 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 dun. I want to see you dance, I want to see you move. I mean, that's great, but then, like, you know, kind of do something else. Don't just rely on it, unless it's what you want to do. It's up to you. But I'm just saying, I can still do whatever I want with this. So I can create my own sequence and no problems. See, if you're not actually composing any of this yourself, and you get to a point where, okay, well, this sounds cool, but what do I do next? If you know how to use a synth, you know what to do next, and you know what you can switch things up. You know what I mean? And you can change every little bit of this. And then last but not least, we got ARP rhythms. See, again, this sounds like a whole backing track. You can see on top. Ooh, yeah. But again, you can separate each of these into its own thing. So you can always even just use one of these things. And this is, see, these sections where you can build an entire backing backbone to a track using just this one patch. It's pretty great, but I wish we could treat each of these separately in terms of audio, as in have a different output to a different audio output in my mixer, so I can just do that. But you know what? Not a big deal. I'll live without it, and you can just load as many instances as you want, so it's not a big deal. Be like trolls. I think that's a reference to Trolls Foreman from ADO, because sometimes he does this really kind of cool stuff. He mixes orchestral stuff with this really kind of half dubstep, half chiptune thing. Or maybe this is also a reference to like the 8 ADOs, like trap and dubstep and all these kind of libraries. So yeah, there you go. to see if... So see, you can do all these little things just separately and just take them as you want. So don't ever worry that these patches are taking away your creativity, or like, oh, do they expect me to just write a whole track like this? Well, that's not composing, it's not writing. No, you can do a lot. Every little thing is editable. These are just really great starting points for you. I mean, you might choose to take something like this. Turn off the arpeggiator. And set this to MIDI channel 2. Set this one to MIDI channel 1. And maybe you want to program this yourself. So you like the combination, but then it's like... And then you can do whatever you want. So I'll leave it there because I've taken so much of your time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying with me if you stayed with me so far. I hope I've demonstrated the breadth that is available in this synthesizer and the amount of things that can be done. It's very deep. I didn't think it would be this deep and this long, but it has truly proven, these guys have truly proven that they can really pack a lot into a little. So, yeah. Again, the claim, is it the most powerful synth on the market? I hesitate to say so because it offers things that are not offered so far, but then there are some things that are offered by some synths that this does not do. So, I'll say it is as powerful a synthesizer as you would want. I'll put it this way. All right? Definitely a lot of bang for the buck. I've highlighted the things that I don't like the like how I wish the effects racks would be more detailed and more separately controlled. But, you know, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna take it as it comes. And if they decide to upgrade it somehow, and maybe that messes with the architecture, I don't know. Yeah, that'd be great. But as it stands, would I recommend it as a synthesizer? If you're looking for your first synthesizer and you wanted to pick this up, I would say, you know what? That would not be a bad idea at all. And it is definitely in good company and competes very well on its own accord. So there you go. I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you for sticking around for this one, for both parts. And yeah, we'll see you for other reviews on film and game composers. Ciao.